What's going on, everybody? You have Tone here, back with some more Draft League content, this time though bringing you guys my draft analysis for Season 5 of APA Little Cup Wi-Fi, and it has been a while since I recorded or uploaded anything to my channel, the last thing being that Showdown Live I did last year with my Clawitzer. But with that being said though, new year, I figured take some time off and get myself back into the swing of Draft League format. So I've once again entered Wi-Fi battling, and with me now having the ability to record my own games, I now am able to do Gen 8 Wi-Fi leagues more consistently and not have to stick with more showdown base leagues that I've been doing just to like keep myself up to date with the metagame. Whatnot, just try to keep myself mentally prepared in case I do want to come back in Draft League format. So here we are in our return to Draft League format, in the sense of doing Little Cup to get myself back into doing Wi-Fi. Now, I was a part of APA Little Cup back in the first season, and that was a really fun team that I ended up drafting. Stuff like Volibee, Ferroseed, Frillish, Meowth. Really fun squad. I ended up making it all the way to the semifinals of that season before we ended up losing to the eventual champion, who I'm blanking on at the moment. I think it was Blinn. I'm not entirely sure. But nonetheless though, since then I took some time away from doing anything like Little Cup. I've played some Little Cup games, some other Draft League sub-team tournament stuff, just to like get myself reacquainted with Little Cup as a whole. And now the time felt right to get back into the swing of doing Draft League, try to upload a bit more consistently in terms of my battles and whatnot, make sure the channel doesn't die like on the spot or whatever. But that's enough about what's going on with the channel as a whole. Long story short, I just want to make sure I try to upload as consistently as I possibly can, if not every once in a while, at least to begin, like at least one video or at least two videos a week from me, just on the sense of trying to get back into the swing of doing Draft League and hopefully doing some more PE related stuff as well. But on to the team that I ended up drafting for Season 5 of APA Little Cup Wi-Fi. So out of 16 coaches, I ended up with the 10th pick this time. Not so fortunate when I got the first pick the first time I did a league like this. So I knew with the 10th pick being near the middle of the draft, I wasn't really expecting much or anything good to fall down to me number 10. I felt that just take the best Pokemon available and work around said Mon. So what ended up falling to me with the number 10 pick, round number 1, just so happened to be a Pokemon I've used quite a bit in recent Little Cup drafts, and that being is Galarian Ponyta. So really surprised Galarian Ponyta fell to me all the way at number 10, and I will gladly take it, especially considering how important speed is in Little Cup, and Galarian Ponyta is one of the better Mons, I feel. Really feel comfortable using it, being a fast Psychic-type Pokemon. I actually prefer Galarian Ponyta over Abra just for the added bulk and the ability to run bulkier sets, having recovery with Morning Sun, the ability to actually hit Steel types without having to run like a hasty nature or Drain Punch like Abra has to do. And yeah, just a really solid, versatile Pokemon overall. Can Calm Mind. Really wish this thing had a way of boosting its attack, but attack stat still respectable speed stat. Essentially, it's the same stats as Cantonian Ponyta, with the exception of it being a psychic type, and having an immunity to being poisoned is also really handy to have on a Pokemon like Galarian Ponyta, where potential bulkier setup sets are very, very viable on Galarian Ponyta. Really happy to use Galarian Ponyta once again. Really happy it fell to me all the way at number 10 in the draft, and I ended up trying my best to work around Galarian Ponyta, but I felt that at the very least I wanted to have some sort of defensive backbone to pair up with Galarian Ponyta, which is what I was trying to do with my round 2 pick. I really wanted to get Mudbray with my round 2 selection, but Mudbray unfortunately ended up getting sniped like 3 picks before my second round pick. But with the Mudbray snipe comes with me getting this round 2 pick, which just so happens to be Spritzee. So yeah, I got arguably the best fairy type Pokemon available in Little Cup format to pair with Galarian Ponyta. Galarian Ponyta being weak to dark, Spritzee can switch into those dark type attacks, scare them out with Moonblast. It also gives me the option to run a Cleric set, Wish, pass Wishes to Ponyta if I don't want to waste PP with Morning Sun. As a very good Calm Mind setter, can be a Trick Room, Nasty Plot setter. Just another versatile Pokemon on top of that, and it's an extremely bulky mon on top of that. This thing is just so ridiculously good, especially combined with the fact that this thing cannot be taunted next to Aromavale. So yeah, really happy to try out Spritzee again. Of course, unfortunately, with how the tiering works, due to the limited amount of Pokemon in Tier 1, I was only allowed to take 2 Tier 1s max, just like every other coach in the APA. So there won't be any pairing of Spritzee with Ferroseed on this draft whatsoever. So don't look to see me try to pair up Ferroseed and Spritzee. As much as I respect the core, I hate using it. I feel better prepping against it than using it myself. But Spritzee's still a fantastic Pokemon in that regard. So moving on, round number 3, I decided to pick up some offense to have some more breaking options for my team. In round number 3, I snagged up one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Little Cup, and that is Corphish. I absolutely love this thing. This thing hits so ridiculously hard with adaptability. Crab Hammer gives me priority with Aqua Jet. It gives me knockoff, which is the most important move to have on a team in a Little Cup format. And this thing is ridiculously bulky, especially with an Eviolite, making SD sets and even Dragon Dance sets a lot more threatening to the fact that this thing is so bulky it does not die to one particular hit unless it's a super effective hit, and that's just how amazingly strong and powerful Corphish is. I've run bulky Corphish in the past with some relative success. Even just straight up 4 attacks is also very viable, considering the fact that Corphish is still ridiculously hard hitting even without the boost. So yeah, just having that option of making my Corphish play any role I want on my team from an offensive standpoint, and even being able to tank hits, is another reason why I love Corphish so much in Little Cup format, and I'm really happy to have it on my squad one more time. So moving on, round number 4, I ended up snagging up Stunky with my round 4 pick. Round 4, Stunky giving me a poison type, and more importantly, having that all-important dark type, so I have that psychic immunity on my draft. And Stunky and Corphish pairs up really well, especially considering that Corphish can be dealt with by bulky grasses. Stunky can force out those bulky grasses with the combination of Sludge Bomb, Fire Blast, and a Nasty Plot user. Another potential priority user with Sucker Punch can be Memento for any of my other setup sweepers. I have 3 options already. Stunky being its own setup variant with Nasty Plot. Just very good versatile mon in terms of offensive, and even just switching in and taking resisted hits and being a good grass type check. And on top of that, being a good response to opposing psychic types in general. So really happy to have Stunky on this team, just giving me another option for some offensive potential to pair with what I already have on this draft. So moving on to round number 5, I ended up snagging up Aeron with my round 5 pick, and the reasoning for Aeron is, well, at this point in the draft, I had no hazard setter. And on top of that, the mons that were available that got Stealth Rock didn't really mesh with my team all that well, except for Aeron. And Aeron does give me a Stealth Rocker and a Steel type, which is nice just to have that extra Psychic check and Ice resist. And it pairs up really, really well with Spritzy, being able to be immune to poison while it doesn't resist Steel like a regular Steel type does. It still gives me an option for Stealth Rock. And on top of that, having the ability to run Rock Head Smash, which is a ridiculously spammable move on Aeron, and on top of that, having the ability to hit opposing Steel types with either Earthquake, Superpower, and having the option to run Body Press. If I want to go that route, Iron Defense Body Press is also a means to go in that vein, and it appreciates Spritzy's Wish support. Just like pretty much all my other members pretty much appreciate Spritzy as a Wish Passer and a Cleric. But Aeron, like I said, provides me with a Steel type and a Stealth Rocker, two things that I did not have on my draft. And yeah, really excited to try out Aeron for the first time. I initially wanted Bronzor, but Bronzor ended up getting taken round 3, which is okay, maybe a stretch, but take the value while you can get it as far as they were concerned. So still happy with getting Aeron in this spot, especially considering the roles that it filled for my team. Speaking of another Pokemon that filled a needed role for my team, with my round 6 pick, I ended up snacking up Pumpkaboo with my round 6 selection. Pumpkaboo provided my team with a needed ground resist, because the first 5 members of my team did not resist ground. I needed a ground resist. None of the grass types that were available really appealed to me. I could have potentially gotten Phantump, but Phantump kind of felt a little bit lacking compared to Pumpkaboo, and I do have the option of all 4 variants of Pumpkaboo. So if I want to run a bulkier Pumpkaboo, I can do Pumpkaboo Super. If I want a bit more speed, I can run Pumpkaboo Small. And on top of that, it gives me another additional priority user thanks to the addition of Shadow Sneak. And on top of that, it does give me, like I mentioned, the ground resist, a normal immunity, as well as a fighting immunity, which is really, really nice for the team as a whole, and pairs up really well, just trying to solidify that defensive core that I'm working with the combination of Spritzy, Aeron, and now I have Pumpkaboo, giving me that solidified needed resistances to normal, fighting, and ground, as well as a added secondary water check if I really want to go that route of using Pumpkaboo in that sense. But that is Pumpkaboo. Just really needed that ground resist, and Pumpkaboo was the only Pokemon available that actually fit the build that I felt comfortable in terms of using or bringing on a regular basis. So that is my Pumpkaboo. Then moving on to round number 7, I ended up snacking up Wooper. And Wooper provides my team with 2 things. The first one, it gives me a ground type, so I have that electric immunity. It also provides me with another water check. Well, in this case, water immunity, thanks to Water Absorb. If I really want to run Unaware on Wooper, I could, just so I don't get overwhelmed by certain setup sweepers. But overall, Wooper's job is to act as the electric check and be a nuisance to opposing bulky waters, as Wooper is one of the better checks to Corphish, and it's a lot harder to check Corphish when you have one of its checks on your team. So that's what I also felt like justified me snacking up Wooper, as opposed to just having 2 water types. Also gives me, like I said, the needed ground type that my team lacks, so I have that electric immunity on my draft. And it's just a really cool Pokemon. I've seen other people use it before in the past with some good success, and hopefully that success carries over to me on my team. So as for my round 8 selection, I only had enough free points to get 2 tier 4s and a tier 3. A tier 4 was mandatory to get already, and I figured get my tier 4 now with my round 8 pick, which ended up being Zubat. So Zubat provides my team with a ground immunity, gives me another defogger to pair aside from Stunky, so I have that added removal. I also get another fighting check. It 4 times resist fighting, so that gives me 3 fighting resist on this team. as I ended up not getting a fighting type at all. So instead of worrying about what I wasn't able to get, I instead focused my attention on trying to solidify having that fighting, opposing fighting types held down. Zubat does fulfill that role. I already talked about it being able to defog. It's pretty bulky in its own right. Can also provide my team with momentum with U-turn, Brave Bird, and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't really expect much out of Zubat, but the roles that it filled for my team were needed, and more or less, I do hope to use Zubat in a more efficient role, as just having that one of those Glumons to my team. So that is the Zubat. And then with my last two picks, I only had enough free points to get another tier 3 and another tier 4. I opted to get another tier 4 first just because there really wasn't anything in tier 4 that I actually wanted to try. And in terms of tier 3, there was more options available in tier 3 than tier 4. And if I ended up getting another tier 4, which I had to in this case, I wanted to make sure that the tier 4 was something I could actually bring, instead of being stuck with essentially just trying to bring 9 Mons and like some irrelevant 10th Mon as a tier 4. So there was one Pokemon in tier 4 that actually fit my team, and is something I could actually see myself bringing on a regular basis, and that Pokemon surprisingly ended up being Yamper. So yeah, I got Yamper in tier 4. I was pretty much debating between this and snagging up Shinx in tier 3, but I ended up going with Yamper round 9. Because of the fact that Yamper was literally the only Pokemon on my team that didn't already overlap with a role that I didn't already have on the draft. That and aside from this and Pichu being the only two electric type Pokemon in tier 4, Pichu was already gone, so I figured if I don't get Yamper now, it won't get back to me round 10, and I can afford to wait to use my last pick whenever tier 3 was available at that time. So Yamper provides my team with an electric type. Its ability won't be useful because it's rattled, which boosts its speed by 1 if it's hit by a bug, goes with Dark Attack, but Yamper is relatively slow. But Yamper sort of fulfills a role similar to how Shinx operates, in being a bulky pivot. It gives my team a slow Volt Switch user, another electric type check, a flying check, but yeah, it's just going to be like a nice bulky fat pivot. If anything, it is pretty relatively bulky, despite how this thing is functioning as a tier 4, but I do hope that Yamper will be coming to at least 2 games. I hope to bring it to at least 2 games, if not more. Same thing applies to Zubat and the rest of my team for that matter. But definitely looking forward to trying out Yamper in a Little Cup format. It looks like it'll be a lot of fun. It's hard walled by ground types because it doesn't get Ice Fang, but what can you do? There's no real way around stuff that it's lacking to hit, so not really going to worry myself with that. So that is my Yamper, providing my team with that slow pivot with Volt Switch and being just a fat, bulky overall Mon in general. And with my round 10 pick, I can get a tier 3 or another tier 4, but in terms of tier 3s, there was a few Pokemon I wanted to get with my last round pick. I was looking to potentially get Carablast or Vanillite, but both of those picks got taken the same round I took Yamper, so I was frantically looking around in tier 3 to any Pokemon that fit my team that didn't already fulfill a role I had. Luckily there was one, and only literally one Pokemon that fit something I did not have, and with that, my last Mon is going to end up being Snorunt, which literally was the only Pokemon available that didn't already fulfill the role on my team. What is that role? Well, aside from being an Ice type, it also gives me Spikes, because my only other hazard setter is Aeron on this team. Spikes are helpful for breaking potential sturdies, potential focus sashes, all that stuff. Snorunt isn't the fastest or the strongest Pokemon overall, but doesn't get much in terms of coverage, and its stats are pretty rounded down the line, with everything being base 50 in the stats department. But like I said, it does give me another potential hazard setter with spikes. It gives me a ice type, as ice is a very formidable ice offensive typing to have in format in general. And that's pretty much it for the most part. Snorunt does have its uses, like I said, mainly in the role of being a spiker, an offensive spiker that can potentially 2 a Chaos up with Ice Beam. Really wish this thing got Freeze Dry though. It really sucks that the distribution of Freeze Dry was so limited to just like 3 Little Cup Pokemon, and one of them is literally never going to click Freeze Dry anyway in Galarian Darumaka, but you can't control anything like that. But regardless of the situation, really excited to try out Snorunt whenever I can. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to try to make this thing work. And for the most part, I cannot run Moody for obvious reasons. It would just be too overpowered. But Inner Focus can be nice to prevent some flinch shenanigans and blocking Intimidates and whatnot. But with that being said, this is the team for your Miami Malamarlins for APA Little Cup Wi-Fi Season number 5, or Miami Incase if you prefer to keep things from a Little Cup perspective. Let me know what you guys think about the team, and who do you think is going to be the MVP of the team come the end of the regular season. But aside from that, that's going to be it from me. Again, hoping I did enjoy, and until week 1, this is Tone, signing out for now. Peace out.